Hey guys, what's going on? Absolutely Beast here, bringing you guys an update on Forza Motorsport 7. So forgive me for being a few days late with this. Um, actually missed it come out on Monday. I didn't know it came out. A friend told me on Tuesday. I wasn't able to record a video then, so it's actually Wednesday for me. Unfortunately, this isn't going up until Thursday, so you guys may have already heard this by now, but thank you for being here anyway. Thank you to you guys who've given me suggestions on how not to stall this car. I've sort of been making it work. I can't use anything other than a default tune on here because it has to be a default tune, so that's out of the question, but the other stuff I've been doing. So this is my fourth attempt. I'm a little bit agitated because this is my fourth attempt to get all this information in here because I went and researched all these cars. One of you guys in the comments said that I should do more research on the cars, so I literally went through and looked up pictures of all these cars and information on Wikipedia about all these cars, so I have little nuggets of knowledge about all of them. So I'm reading this article directly off of ForzaMotorsport.net. I will link that in the description so you guys can link right to the article and check it out if you want. But they have a couple paragraphs up at the top that I'm not really going to read. I'll just sort of summarize them for you. So they're basically saying that this car release like they're doing now is going to be a weekly thing. And they want us to be able to express ourselves and to be able to paint cars with gorgeous liveries if we want, or create custom builds and tunes if we want. So they're announcing 77 cars this week. They're all JDM vehicles, and also they just talk about the body customization. So they talked about wide body kits. So wide body kits are coming to a number of cars in Forza 7. A lot of them are completely bespoke and designed in-house at Turn 10. Underground inspired designs, aero enhanced models at the Professional Motorsport, and then also body kit options from Forza Horizon 3 will be making their way in also, some of them including like ones for the S14 and the 240SX. They'll talk about wheel options, bringing over a number of new entry wheels from Forza Horizon 3, also a new selection of race-inspired wheels, which I like. I love those, like those OZ wheels on the Lotus E23 and E21. Those are great looking wheels in my opinion. I love the racing stuff. So, yeah, and then also they talk about the auction house, which they're bringing back. A lot of people's gripe with this game was that you can't, and the previous game, Forza 5, was that you can't sell your cars in the auction house. So if you buy these cars and race with them, and then you're done with them, you can't sell them to recoup your credits. And I'm sure for people who are using a lot of assists and people who are racing through the career, it can be a challenge to come up with the money to buy these cars right off the bat. So anyway, and then a little piece here about the 2016 Civic Type R, which I won't read. It's just talking about it as it's super summarized. 300 horsepower, special suspension in the front, Brembo brakes, and then a 2017 Acura NSX, which they talked briefly about. So I'm just going to dive right in. I don't want to ramble off a whole list long here, so I'm going to talk about each one briefly. The 2001 Acura Integra Type R. When I was younger, my dad had one of these. It was like a 98. It wasn't a Type R, but it was an Integra, and they're really awesome little cars. You know, they're really Hondas in disguise. That was a good pass right there. So, they're really nice cars, legendary cars. So then you have a 2002 Acura RSX Type S. I think the RSX is a successor to the Integra. The Type S is a little bit sportier version. 2017 Acura NSX, which obviously is the new one, a little bit controversial. Some people think it's too tame. Some people think it's too muted and too bland. And I would tend to agree, but that's kind of Japanese fashion, is to be like that. They're not going to come out with something super flashy, other than the GTR, which is different brand Nissan. But so I'm getting into some Hondas here. Anytime you hear an SI or an SIR or an R, or anything like that, it basically just means it's a little bit more of a race-inspired version. That's pretty generic. I mean, there's a little more to it than that. There's a few versions, but for sake of time. So you have a 1970 Honda S800, which looks like a predecessor to the S2000. The small little guy, even 84 Civic CRX, which if you live in the United States, I guarantee you've seen one of these before. It's a little hatchback, and it's a Mugen version is this one, so it's going to be a little more sporty. So then you have a 86 Civic Si, you have a 91 Civic CRX SIR, which is the same type of car. You have a 92 Honda NSX Type R, 94 Prelude Si, you have a 97 Civic Type R, you have a 2000 Prelude Type SH, which you couldn't really find much on other than it's kind of similar to like an SI or an R. 2004 Civic Type R, 2005 Honda NSX R. I believe that's one of the last years they made it. I know there was about a 10-year gap between that one and when the new one came out, so I think that was one of the last ones. You have an 07 Civic Type R, you have an 09 S2000, which is one of the most legendary cars of all time. Tuner cars anyway. I've always loved those cars, especially the hardtop variety. They're super, super, super rare. You have a 2014 Civic Si, you have a 2016 Civic Type R, You have a '03 Infiniti G35 Coupe or a Z-Killer. You know, Infiniti is just Nissan in disguise here in the United States. And so the G35 is a nice two-door coupe. The 3.5 is the 3.5 liter, which is the same as the 350Z has, same designation. Then you have a 2012 Infiniti IPL G Coupe. So G35 turned into G37, much like 350Z turned into 370Z. And then the IPL G Coupe looks to be a successor of that. I couldn't find too much information on it, but that's what it looks like to me. So you have a 2014 Infiniti Q50 Eau Rouge. So Eau Rouge is actually a turn in Spa. As you come up the hill, after the start, you go left and then right as you're going up the hill. Couldn't find anything really on the Eau Rouge designation here on the Q50, but I think the Q50 is one of the most beautiful cars, one of the most exceptionally beautiful cars the United States has to offer. It's an absolutely beautiful car. One of my favorites. Every time I see one on the road, I'm stunned by it. I love them. And so then there's an Infiniti Q60 concept, which looks to me to be a two-door version of the Q50. So you have a 72 Mazda Cosmo 110S. From what I can, it's a short little guy with a long back end, weird, funky looking car. So one of my favorite things about Corvettes, I love Corvettes. One of my favorite things about them, favorite aspects, is if you look at the back, the overhang over the rear wheels is very, very short. You have the rear wheel, and the back of the car is very short, and I think that makes it look very sporty. This Cosmo 110 looks super opposite. It looks very bulky and like floaty. You have a 73 Mazda RX-3, which is obviously in the RX lineage, the rotary engine, which is very famous. You have an 85 RX-7. You have a 1990 Mazda MX-5, the Miata, which everybody knows also is a very popular car. You have a 1990 Mazda Savannah RX-7, which is a little bit different. It's kind of like a hatchback. I don't know if you could call it a hatchback, but that the back is a hatch. So there's that. And then you have a 94 MX-5 Miata. Again, you have a 97 Mazda RX-7, which is one of the most famous tuner cars of all time. Absolutely legendary. You have an 05 Mazda Speed MX-5, which is a little bit sportier version with I believe it has a turbo. You have a 2010 Mazda Speed 3, which is the Mazda 3, small little consumer type car, but that's a turbo version of that. You have a 2010 MX-5 Super 20, which is actually a SEMA car show prototype, which had a supercharged Cosworth engine in it, and some upgraded brakes and suspension and stuff like that. You have I don't think it ever went into production though. You have a 2011 Mazda RX-8, which is the successor to the RX-7, and that's the R3 version, R3 variant, which is just a little bit of a different aero kit, different front splitter and stuff like that. So you have a 2013 MX-5, you have a 2013 MX-5 Cup, which is a cup car that's stripped down for lightweight and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's the same as the MX-5. Then you have a 2016 MX-5. So you have a 1988 Mitsubishi Starion, which in the United States was marketed under a couple different brands. So Plymouth and Chrysler also owned some rights to this car. So there's some versions of that you can find. It was sort of muddy throughout those couple of years. So then you have the 92 Mitsubishi Galant VR4. So when Mitsubishi came out with the Lancer, they actually were able to make this car a lot more free because they weren't limited by sporting regulations. So this car had a VR4, which was actually a V6, up from the previous year's inline 4, which allowed them to make it a lot smoother and a lot more powerful. They have a 95 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX, which is a turbo Eclipse with all-wheel drive, which is a really rare car, but absolutely awesome car. One of my favorite cars of all time is that car. You have a 97 Mitsubishi GTO, which marketed here in the United States was a 3000 GT. Very beautiful car. Even still today, still doesn't look out of place today, and it's 20 years old. You have a 99 Lancer Evo 6, the GSR. You have the 04 Lancer Evo 8 MR, which is one of my favorite looking Evos of all time. You have an 06 Lancer Evo 9 MR, which again, absolutely beautiful. And then an 08 Lancer Evo 10, which GSR, which I'm not a fan of the Evo 10s as much, but they still look okay. And you have a 1970 Datsun 510, which is a four-door. I believe that's a popular drifting type car. If you look at it, you know what I mean. So you have a 1971 Nissan Skyline, the 2000 GTR. And then you have a 73 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR HT. Couldn't find much on the HT designation, but just a different variant. So you have an 87 Skyline GTS R, which is the R31. You have a 92 Nissan Silvia Club Ks, which Silvia here in the United States was a 240SX. And the Club Ks refers to just a different version of K variation, which is just an aero pack, basically. You have a 93 240SX. You have a 93 Skyline GTR V-Spec. The V-Spec was stiffer suspension, better brakes, and you know, some stuff like that. Just a little more race oriented. You have a 94 Nissan Fairlady Z twin turbo, the version S, which here in the United States was called a 300ZX twin turbo. You have a 94 Sylvia K again, which is just an aero pack and has a little bit different bumpers and stuff. You have a 95 Nissan Nismo GTR, the Le Mans edition. You have the 97 Skyline GTR V-Spec. A little bit, you know, same with those V-Spec GTRs. They have the bumpers, have like different front bumpers and stuff. You have a 2000 Silvia Spec R, which is the turbo version, the SR20 DET, which is a legendary tuner engine. You have a 2002 Skyline GTR V-Spec 2, which even stiffer suspension, even better brakes than the V-Spec, you know, regular. So you have an 03 Fairlady Z from Nissan, which is a 350Z here in the US. You have a 2010 Nissan 370Z. You have a 2012 Nissan GTR Black Edition. You have a 07 Toyota Hilux Arctic Trucks AT38, which looks like a Hot Wheels truck. It's like a Toyota Tacoma, kind of. These massive tires on them. Probably like 12-inch rims, 13-inch rims. You have a 2014 Nissan Juke, which I could care less about, the Nismo RS. You have a 2015 Nissan ID Nismo, which I actually saw on Jay Leno's garage, and I believe it's actually paying homage to the Datsun 510 that we were talking about earlier. It's a four-door car. Or, well, it's a two-door, but it's modeled the same way as that four-door. So you have a 2016 Nissan Titan Warrior concept, which looks really sick. You have a 2017 Nissan GTR. You have a 1980 Subaru Brat, which is a legendary Subaru. You have a 1990 Subaru Legacy RS. You have a 96 Subaru SVX, which is a two-door Subaru, kind of weird-looking car. You have a 98 Subaru Impreza 22B STI, which is literally one of the most legendary rally cars of all time. You have a Subaru Impreza. You have an STI from 04, STI from 05, Legacy GT from 05. You have a STI from 08, STI from 2011, BRZ, which was a collaboration with Toyota and Scion making the FRS, and then a 2015 STI. Now, guys, I'm so excited about these cars. I'm so excited. I'm almost out of time, so thank you guys for checking out my stuff. Make sure you check back soon and subscribe so you don't miss anything, and thank you guys. I'm super excited. Get pumped.